Okay, so I'm on to the next room, and as you can see, I've already started fixing all the nail pops. They're all over the place, putting in screws and stuff. I'll show you here in a second. But these guys are what I'm talking about with nail pops. You can see them throughout the house, and that's what I'm fixing. And all you're really going to do is you're going to go find that nail pop. You're going to scrape that top piece off. Any loose debris, cut away, and make sure there's no loose debris in here. Then you're going to put a screw right next to it. Everywhere you go, you're going to put a screw right next to it, and that's going to keep it from moving. So now I have to go along to each one of these nail pops, and I got to put a screw in right next to them, and then put drywall mud on like I have over here. These over here already have like 2 coats on them. Then you also want to go back, and any loose screws or nails that are sticking out, you want to make sure you beat those back in, either with a hammer or something where it's going to beat it in. Next, I'm going to need my mud pan, this guy right here, and my putty knife. This is +3 topping. That's what most people use, or a lot of people use. And then all you're gonna do is take some of this mud. You're gonna put it right over those screws. Make sure to push it in there. You want to get into all the nooks and crannies. The threads or the head of the screw. Here it doesn't hurt to put a little extra because I'm going to flatten this whole side out, because usually people don't do corners very flat. It's usually bowed in a lot. Once all these are filled, I can come down here, I can just go. It's the first pass, so it really doesn't have to be too perfect. It's more just trying to fill in and letting that dry before putting another coat on there. This other side's only got a couple holes, so we're going to fill these holes. And that's going to be all we're going to do on this side of it. And then they wanted all the curtain rod holes filled in also, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I got my little smaller putty knife here to try to make it a little easier, which is still a little big. A tad too big. Okay, so now I got all these nail holes all filled, right? And this is what I was talking about, the screw. See how it's sticking up just a little bit, and you can see it? I can put another coat of mud or 2 over it, and you won't be able to tell it's there, but I'm probably going to go back and I'm going to tighten that down just a little bit to where it sits just underneath the skin of the drywall. This is 1 coat that's wet. This is after 1 coat. These over here have 2 coats on them. You can see it's almost flush, or it is pretty flush and smooth already. Now I have to put more coats on here. My plan is tonight to get done with the drywall, maybe get into sanding. I got to put another coat or 2 on this. I got to put another coat over here, and then sand with my so-called sander. But just like all the rest, this has already got 1 coat on it. We're going to put another coat over the top. If you see any little bubbles in here, you want to make sure to try to push the drywall into, or the drywall mud into the wall. That way it fills those. Let's see if you can see these little bubbles. These are the bubbles I'm talking about. It's like bubbles that are in your drywall. It's in the drywall mud itself. It's also in what you already put down. If you don't push hard enough the first time and squeeze all the air out of it, then you have bubbles that are on the wall itself, and you got to fill those all in. So you just kind of give it a once over. Make sure to push mud into all those little bubbles and little holes. and then you take it off. I don't know, I mean, I mean, that's pretty cool. Ones I can use, it's a little faster. But in the end, my job still is a bit better. I can auto this. That takes a little bit. Go over, check. Make sure my layer still good. Sure, it's very flat. Got scores. Got quality. Next thing, I'm that. Now that's great. And now I'm going to turn on all the fans because I want this coat to dry so I can put another coat on tonight. That way I'm ready to sand tomorrow. Hopefully sand tomorrow. They're trying to get it done before the 5th. I told them I'd get it done. I'm only working half days because, well, I do a social media account. I don't know if you've heard of it. Sanding shit, that is also me. Plus a family to raise and whatnot, so I'm a busy guy. But anyway, try to get more mud on here tonight. That way I can sand tomorrow. And then after that coat is dry, I'm gonna come over and you're gonna see this little stuff on the wall. I'm gonna scrape all that loose stuff. Just run this over all of this. Nice, you don't wanna dig it into the drywall too much. You just wanna like kind of glide it over it. That's it. Just slide it up and down over it. You're gonna knock off all this loose stuff. If there is any loose stuff, you're gonna knock it all off. That's simple. Like that loose stuff right here, see? And then you're ready for another coat. And applying it's pretty simple. Just kind of, slide it over and just go and wipe it off. Boom. And now it's 11:30 at night and I have 3 coats or more on all the nail pops and I'm ready to sand tomorrow. Yay for sanding.